What's up, how's it going? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and this is the last of the SOTA Street Fighter Round 4 figure reviews. This is Birdie, and I gotta be honest, I can't believe I even got all of these guys standing up. This figure has to have some of the loosest joints I've ever seen on any action figure, ever. Maybe the only thing worse is anything from Jazzwares. I don't know. But he's super problematic. Still a really good figure though, which is kind of an oxymoron, but I'll explain it as we go. He stands 8 inches tall at the top of his mohawk, so he's got really good size to him, and the sculpt is just fantastic. That being said, part of the sculpt is part of the problem with this guy, so he kind of goes back and forth, and I'll explain as we go through it. These are all the versions. We have the pink one with the silver mohawk over here, the solid clear red one where everything including his accessories is translucent red except for the chain around his wrist. This is player 1. This is similar to player 1, but it's all gray instead of the blue color, and his belt buckle isn't painted either. It's just gray. And this one is also gray, but this one has a silver buckle and pink hair and necklace. He's got a greenish hue to his skin. This one also has a greenish hue to his skin. The red one is obviously not painted, and this one has standard skin color. Let's get all these guys out of the way so we can look at the player 1 figure. As far as accessories go, his necklace is a separate sculpt, so I guess you can count that. He has 2 different heads, one that's just regular and one where he's got his mouth open. Both are sculpted really well and also painted really well. Like I said, the sculpt on this guy is really nice. There are just some problems. He has these 2 open hands, one that is completely open and one that is meant for holding his knife, which I'll show you in a second. He's got these really nice sculpted rings on his fingers. They're sculpted and painted really well. The gloves are sculpted. So like I said, and you're going to keep seeing examples of this, the sculpt on this guy is phenomenal. These are the fist hands. There's seam work on the gloves. The rings again, just super cool. And he has a thumbs up / thumbs down hand. Pretty nice. And lastly, he has a switchblade knife / comb. I'm not sure. Never seen a knife with teeth like that, so I'm not positive. But it does have a hinge in it. This one's been glued because these things break if you look at them too hard. So this one's been glued open. A lot of the knives, if you buy this guy loose, won't have the blade at all, or it'll be glued either open or closed, because these are super fragile, but still pretty nice looking accessory. The paint on this guy is also really well done. He's got the texturing throughout the clothes, throughout the denim to look kind of like T-Hawk's denim. It looks really sharp on this guy. He does have shading throughout the skin. Probably could be a little bit better, especially on the greener version, the greenish hue to the skin. I don't know how well that's translating on camera, but you can see it's got a different tone to it. Maybe this one's a better example. Yeah, maybe not. It's hard to tell on camera, but he does have weird shading on the skin sometimes, but most times it looks pretty good. The belt work is done pretty well. Overall, the paint's fine. The shoes have texturing. He has the socks painted in there. Let's talk about the skull, or the articulation. The head's on the ball joint, pretty limited up and down. You get a little bit out of it though, so that's okay. Little bit left and right, but not too much. And then of course the full swivel. The hair is a soft piece, so it'll bend probably. You can just stick that in some hot water to fix that. Ball jointed ball disc shoulders. The joint on this thing is so huge, the range of motion is anything you could need. Even though he's really bulky and kind of hunched over a little bit, you still get all the range of motion you could want. So you have that, you have the bicep swivel, but the bicep swivel on this guy is really loose just about all the time. You might find one that's not too bad, but you will have problems more than likely. Single jointed elbow, which is fine. Wrist swivel and wrist pivot. The chain is connected permanently unless you cut something, so you can just wrap that around, do whatever you want with that. It is a real metal chain. He has an ab crunch, which actually works pretty well. He bends over just fine. It's hidden in the jacket pretty nicely, just like T-Hawk. And he doesn't go back any farther than that. You're probably going to want to keep him hunched over just about that much so that his jacket is pretty much parallel to his pants. He has a waist twist, T-jointed ball disc hips, kind of limited but pretty good range of motion. You won't be able to do much with them though because they're usually pretty loose, and the rest of the leg articulation below the knee is also really loose. So posing him is not going to be a matter of desire, more of a matter of just trying to get the darn figure to stand up without falling over. He has a thigh swivel built in, which is also usually really loose. The knee joints are fine, but even at full extension, they're still almost 90-degree bend. So it's not the best there. They are double jointed though. You have a shin swivel. Of course, this one is stuck. That one's stuck, and the rest of them are all incredibly loose. Like, incredibly loose. Really, really bad. So getting him to stand is very problematic. He does have an ankle pivot, which is sometimes loose and sometimes not. That's not the issue. It's really the swivel, the hips, and this piece right here. Because the entire foot is on that swivel, it's really hard to get a good stance because that's usually kind of loose too. He has no toe joint because the boots are automatically curled up, which is game accurate, so I'm okay with it. But due to the constant bend of the knee, the loose joints, it's really, really hard to get this guy to stand up. So you're going to have to take some time to do it. But once you do, he looks great. Great sculpt, great representation of the character, and good paint job. So all in all, he's a good figure. Just be mindful of those few problems. Before I go, I want to point out that the jacket is a soft material glued on top of the rest of him. So even if you do find yourself hitting it or something like that, it's not going to break. You don't have to worry about that. So there's Birdie. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for the last bit of SOTA Street Fighter figures I have coming in the near future. And in the meantime, keep collecting.